Hello YouTube, welcome to another one of my Duel Links videos. So today I have for you a deck that, I'm going to start this video with a shout out. Shout outs to Archangel. He has been continuously reaching out to me, letting me know that his favorite deck of mine was my spell counter deck. And with the addition of magical something, he really wanted me to rework it a little bit to incorporate this card. So shout outs to him. This video it's for you, my man. You requested it, so here it is. But anyway, so we're gonna be looking at just that, my updated version of the spell counter deck, where I incorporate magical something. Now, if you guys are not familiar with this card, it came out in Generation Next. Each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card when that spell card resolves. This card levels is increased by the number of spell counters on this card. That effect doesn't come up as much. You can remove 3 spell counters from this card, then target one quick play spell card in your graveyard. Set that card to use spell and trap card to your spell and trap zone. You can only use this effect of magical something once per turn. So this card lets you recycle your quick play spells. The only downside of activating the effect is the fact that you're setting it doesn't come back to your hand. That would be just too good. So the fact that you're setting it means you can't use it until the following turn, which would be your opponent's turn. But it's still a great card. I like the artwork a lot. It's an 1800 beater, and so it got added to the deck. Now my core spell counter deck didn't really change that much. Unfortunately, we had to get rid of 2 Hamstrat just because there wasn't enough room for them. I replaced them both with magical something, but I kept one around because I know you guys have been wanting to see it back. I still love Hamstrat, don't get me wrong. It just hasn't been coming up and as of late in the decks. But here's the Hamstrat. We run 1 Endymion. I can't remember if I was running 2 or just 1 in the previous deck, but I'm only running 1. It's a 2 tribute, so it's not great, but usually if you resolve his effect, his special summoning effect, by having 6 counters on the magical citadel, most of the time you're gonna win that game. It just gives you too much advantage, but it should. It's kind of hard to pull off. I'm also running 1 dark red enchanter. This is kind of taking the place of one of a third magical something. Unfortunately, I only have 2 because I am 33% free to play. So I only have 2 magical something, and I wanted to try out dark red enchanter. He didn't come up as much, which makes sense because we only have 1 of them. So when I saw it, I used it, but a lot of the times I didn't really see it. We still have 3 magical exemplar, which is still kind of the core of the deck. The fact that you can up your counters on this card so quickly, and if you have Citadel, all those counters are going to go to the Citadel once it's destroyed. You still have the special summon ability. It's a really good card, still a staple in spell counter decks. And then we have 2 of the magical marionette. I believe I was running 3 before, if I'm remembering correctly. And that's why I put the enchanter, but I can't remember. I might have just been running 2, but anyway, it still comes up the effect, 2 spell counters to destroy 1 monster. Really good. If you have the citadel, you can use the effect twice if you have enough counters on the monster and on the citadel. So it's still a really good card. I still wanted to run it. That's why I kept around 1 of the Mega Hamstrat, because you can just tribute 1 of those tokens. You also only need 5 counters on magical exemplar in order to summon this, and that's also very easy to achieve. One thing I do want to mention is that obviously this deck can lose immediately to Horus level 8 and to Dark Paladin. More so Horus than Dark Paladin, because Dark Paladin, they're gonna have to discard a card, so you might be able to outlast them. But against Horus, you have some outs within the deck, but depending on how early your opponent comes out with a Horus, you might be pretty screwed. But anyway, we're running 2 Super Rush Headlungs because we need targets. We need quick play spell targets for or magical something, and obviously Super Rush along with Enemy Controller are the best quick play spell cards. Just 2 is enough. I didn't want to run 3 to make the deck way too cloggy. I still run the Spell Power Grasp because it doesn't matter what monster you're running. I mean, what monster you have. But if you're gonna be running a spell counter deck, you need this card. It adds a spell counter. It thins the deck. It's just way too good. One of these on Magical Exemplar is 3 counters, which is crazy. One of these on Magical Marionette, it's a free pop. It's just a really good card overall. And it can also be fodder for you to use Endymion's effect. Steal 2 Citadel because again, you don't want to see 3. You don't want to run 3 because you don't want to see multiples of them. Running 1 is just not enough, so you have to run 2. Unfortunately, this card is dead if you draw the second copy, unless you have your Endymion on the field. But it's the only card, in my opinion, that becomes a dead card when you draw it. So we can deal with that. And then obviously the best quick play spell in the entire game, Enemy Controller. Way too good, way too versatile. And this deck can just abuse this card. I know you see the title of the deck, and you will see in one of these replays why I named it that. But no spoilers. That's it for the deck list. Let's go ahead and get into this replays real quick. And you guys won't be seeing this for a while. Actually, GX comes tomorrow. If you guys kind of want to get an estimate on, how my schedule is. I've been being able to have an extra series that's really easy to record. It's given me a lot of freedom to be able to record ahead, so you guys won't be seeing this for a while. But if you want to know what today is, tomorrow is when GX comes. So anyway, let's get into this replays. We're going up against Pegasus with Restart. I was very surprised at what this Pegasus was running. Kind of unfortunate for him, to be honest. But let's go ahead and watch what happens. He goes for a Thunder Dragon, thins his deck, doesn't do anything else. I get my Magical Exemplar, and I start putting counters on it. I could have gone for Magical something, but I wanted to get as many counters, as possible. So he actually goes for the Fusion Plant. I think that's the name of this card. Yeah, Fusion Recycling Plant. And goes for Polymerization. He tries to destroy my Magical Exemplar. Unfortunately for him, I had the Super Rush, and to be honest, even if I didn't have Super Rush, my Magical Exemplar would have so many counters that I would have been able to special summon my Endymion. So that would have been another out with a spell. But here I'm able to recycle my Super Rush using Magical Something's effect, and then I'm able to special summon my Endymion with the counters that I had on Magical Exemplar, just to be able to go for game. Very easy win. 90% of the win was due to Super Rush, but then you were able to see how you can swarm the field, recycle your resources. I basically didn't spend a card the entire duel, because the only card I spent, and by spend I mean that hit the graveyard, was Super Rush, and I got that right back with Magical Something. So pretty crazy. And here I love going up against Power of Dark because I get a free 200 boost on all of my monsters. So I was very happy to see this. Once again, I go for Magical Exemplar. I have the Super Rush to protect it, but my main goal is to just rack up as many counters as I can. Unfortunately for me, he has the Econ take, so I lose the 4 counters because Exemplar was not destroyed. And this man was running a very peculiar deck, really cool, to be honest. He's running Doom Shaman, or Shamon, however you pronounce it, and he's also running what's this guy? Chaos Command. I tried to destroy it with Super Rush because my next play was summoning the Magical Marionette, and I cannot target the Chaos Command. Fortunately for me, he had his Super Rush of his own, but I top decked the best card in the game, Enemy Controller, Tribute for my Magical Marionette, use the effect taking the counters from the Citadel to destroy the Doom Shaman. He's down to 1 card, which we know is Neos the Magical Swordsman. and we have follow-up plays with or magical something. So I go ahead and put the counter on the field spell so that I can activate my magical something effect. And I know I could have activated it even if I didn't do that, but that way I keep one counter on my field spell at all times, so that if something like this happens where, you know, my opponent tries to twister it, I have a counter to take away to keep it from getting destroyed. He couldn't really do anything. He got kind of salty, I guess, and just went for the rage quit. But another good win. And this Mako player, this was a pretty grounded out duel, and I was almost surprised at how I was able to keep up, because this Mako had a really good start. I mean, sometimes Makos get better start than what he had, but you'll see what I mean. So he's going first.
Duel.
I don't have the greatest of hands. I do brick with, you know, having the second magical citadel, but look at this. 3 in the back row. That is just insane, and I have no way of dealing with back row. So obviously I don't attack into it. I get my magical exemplar, and I go ahead and use the citadel, the second citadel over the first one, just because I wanted to get counters on my monsters, and there was no counters on the citadel on the first one to begin with. He tries to destroy my back row, so I activate the super rush. That way I can protect my magical something. And not only that, that is my third counter on both my magical something and my citadel, so I can just get that super rush right back. Unfortunately, I can't activate magical something's effect twice. It is once per turn, so even if you have counters on citadel, you can use those. I go for a dark red enchanter. Like I was saying, when I have it, I use it. My opponent gets to discard a card from his hand, and then I get to recycle my enemy controller. He's got the windstorm. Doesn't attack because he knows I have the super rush. I try to go for econ take. He has an enemy controller of his own, which really sucks. We go 2 for 2 in the resources, but then he gets just, you know, a top deck. Of course, he top decks into Gaia the Swift Knight. He's got a super rush of his own, but I think he activated that prematurely. I would have waited and made myself, you know, waste my own. I have another one in hand, so I activate that one in order to destroy the Gaia. He doesn't have a response. Then he draws into, you know, Hammer Shark. I have my other super rush, and he just rage quits. I had so many follow-up plays. From then, you know, I was gonna summon my magical something back from the grave. Then I was gonna activate that magical something's effect using the Citadel's counters to recycle another super rush or my enemy controller. It's just too good. Once the deck gets going, if you can open up with you know, Citadel, you're pretty much good to go, because your counters get built so quickly. And also, I forgot to mention, as you guys saw already, I am running Duel Standby, my probably favorite skill right now, just because it helps you with those brick hands. You know, even if you run Restart, sometimes you're still gonna get a crappy hand. And because I am running, you know, 4 monsters that are tribute monsters, I'd rather go with Duel Standby, because even if I draw all of them, I'm still guaranteed another card that could potentially save me and keep in the hand from being a brick. Here I was so sad because my magical exemplar got destroyed with like 6 counters by the 4-star Ladybug, and I didn't have my Citadel, so all those counters were just wasted. Really sad. But here I use my Spell Power Grasp, which is gonna give 2 counters to my exemplar, and I don't want to run into a mirror wall, so I go ahead and activate the enemy controller because I can get it right back using the exemplar's effect. He goes for Rope of Life, you know, destroying his entire hand to get the monster back. But I have a super rush, I have an enemy controller, 1 on the field, 2 in the hand, so I knew it was good. And then he actually has 1 card that I can't get rid of in Obnoxious Celtic Guardian, so I have to econ take and just tribute it because I didn't have anything to attack it over. That ends up being the game because my opponent had nothing to protect himself with. But another cool win, you know. Even without Citadel, this deck can do so much um, because of all the spells he runs. And then for this last replay, guys, the video might go on a little longer, but I'm gonna activate character lines because I want to go into detail. This duel was intense on so many levels that I don't want us to miss anything. So sorry because this video is gonna be a little bit longer by me doing this, but I just want us to go into detail about everything that was going on in my head as the duel was progressing, and with character lines we'll be able to slow it down a little bit. So he sets one card face down, one monster. Here my play is always gonna be go into Exemplar and start building counters because that is the best way to do it once you have the Citadel. Because again, if your Exemplar gets destroyed, those counters are gonna go to your Citadel and you'll be good. I go for the attack, and then I see that it's plants, and I immediately get a little sad because you guys know how much I love plants deck. You know, my Marina, my Rose Lover. So seeing that kind of hurt a little bit. I was already sad, but I had my enemy controller, so even if he summoned a Marina or a Talaya, I was going to be able to protect myself from an OTK. I still don't trust the face down at all, the new one that he just set. So I take the damage instead of using my enemy controller. That way I can summon my magical exemplar, get a counter going, and also flip that botanical girl, just in case, you know, there's something like a mirror wall or something. I don't want to leave myself open because I know how quickly plants can OTK. So I do just that, activate the enemy controller, getting enough counters on my Citadel just to recycle it back. And then I set my other enemy controller just in case. I know that Rose Lover is gonna, you know, protect the Marina or Talaya from traps, but spells are still gonna be affected, so I'm feeling pretty good. He searches a Rose Lover. The back row was activatable, so I was still unsure on what it was. My guess was that it was a mirror wall. You know, it could have been an enemy controller, anything. He goes for Tribute to the Doom, which is okay because I have another magical something in my hand, and those counters went straight to my field spell. So I'm feeling pretty good. I see the Jerry Beans man. I go ahead and protect my life points because I know that even through a mirror wall, I'm gonna be able to destroy that Jerry Beans since he has no defense. And I can afford to use enemy controller because I have magical something. So I want you guys to keep track of how many enemy controllers I've used. So far, I've used 2 of them, I believe. I'm pretty sure I've only used 2 so far. So I go for my magical something. I immediately, you know, recycle the enemy controller back into the field, and I can't activate it, but I do have another one. So not that I need it, but anyway, I go ahead and I destroy the Jerry Beans, but I know that Marina is coming because, you know, he hasn't played any big monster. He's bound to draw one at some point, and here it comes to break my heart, the beautiful Marina. But I have 2 enemy controllers. Even though it's immune to traps, it's not immune to spells, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm kind of sad knowing that I have to destroy it, but it's okay. So I use my enemy controller, you know, get in a counter on both of my cards, and then I top deck Magical Exemplar, which is good because now I can destroy Marina through an enemy controller. Unbeknownst to me, this guy is a tilter, and he actually has Magical Arm Shield, and I was like, are you kidding me? Out of all cards, I did not expect Magical Arm Shield. I could have changed Econ, Take, and, you know, the Marina, but I wasn't going to be able to finish the game, so there was no point in me wasting it that way. He goes for the attack, and I use enemy controller for the 4th time. 4 times so far, guys. 4 times. You know, switching it back into defense mode. and I'm still, you know, kind of puzzled as to why that card has not been activated. I still believe that it's a miracle at this point. And then I top deck a really good card in Spell Power Grasp. This is gonna let me add counters to my Citadel, and the reason why I added them to the Citadel and not Magical Something is because Magical Something was already gonna have 3 counters to recycle my enemy controller, and in my following turn that a Spell Power Grasp was gonna give me 6 counters on my Citadel in order to special summon Endymion. So I had so many plays going in my head at this point, and he top decks, or maybe he already had it, but I believe he just top decked it. Yeah, he top decks a second Marina, and I'm like, why do I have to go through this again? But guess what I have face down? Obviously another enemy controller. For the 5th time this duel, I activate a quick play spell, enemy controller. Now I have 5 counters on my Citadel, so I can actually just use the Spell Power Grasp directly onto my magical something. But first I summon Exemplar so I can get counters going on that as well. But by activating it into my monster, I get 3 counters, which means I'm gonna recycle enemy controller yet again. Enemy controller, get back into the field, and then I can summon my Endymion, which is also gonna let me recycle enemy controller from my graveyard. So at this point I've had 7 enemy controllers. I've used 5 and I have 2 more. I go ahead and discard the power spell grasp just to get rid of that back row and finally know what it is. I could have gone for the Marina, but honestly at this point I wanted to econ take. I didn't want to destroy Marina again. Unfortunately for me is playing food chain. So this guy has seen my videos, most likely, and he special summons the second Marina. Unfortunately, I know that destroying the first one is going to trigger the second one, but no matter what combination he did, if he targeted my Endymion over my magical something, I was still gonna have enough damage to finish the game. So I activate the enemy controller for the 6th time in the duel, steal the Marina because I don't want to hurt it anymore. I want it to come back to me and give me this win, you know, with a direct attack. So just a crazy duel, way too many enemy controllers. I used 6 enemy controllers and I had 1 set, and I think there was still 1 more in the deck. So magical something, just insane recycling power once it gets going. And you know, I don't think I could have finished the video on a better replay. That duel was way too intense. After I got that replay, I was like, okay, let's go ahead and record this. You guys won't be seeing it for a while, but I can't wait to read you guys' comments. And you know, hopefully you guys enjoy this deck. I still love spell counters. Again, shout outs to Archangel for, you know, getting on to me about updating the deck, because it was so fun to use once again. But that's gonna be it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, like, comment, and subscribe if you want. Join my Discord if you haven't. Link will be down in the description. And until next time.